Welcome back to another show. It's your favorite two dickheads. And we got a special guest with us today. I'm sure some of you guys are already recognizing the face. Mr. John Paul Mufasa, Bosnoyan. Um, One of my closest friends since high school. And we're just going to shoot the shit with him, figure out what's good and get an inside scoop of what his life has been like training at the rigorous rate that he's been doing it for so long. So, welcome, man. How you doing today?
Chilling, just enjoying the Sunday. It's a mellow day for me, so trying to just take it in before the week starts back up.
All right.
Yeah.
Good shit.
So, I know.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No,
you
you
have
go
more
ahead.
questions than me.
Are you sure? No,
Yeah.
I'll let you go. I'm not. It's not like a thought.
Hey, man, ask the fucking question,
save.
man.
All right, man. You're such a dick, man. Are you on your period?
No.
It's that time of the month.
Right. It sounds like it. I just want to come out saying that I'm half lesbian. Gun pulled on me today, so I thought I should let everyone know. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I've been thinking about this because me and Casey have been talking about having you on as a guest for probably ever since we started the podcast. We're talking about guests we wanted on, and you're one of the top ones for sure that first came up. But ever since then I've been thinking and I've been following you for a while now, just watching all the shit you do, man. It's insane. As like a bodybuilder, I dedicate a lot of my life to doing what I do.
Yeah.
But holy shit, because a lot of people think, I spend a lot my life in the gym, when in reality it's only hour and a half, 2 hours a day training, versus you. How long are you training? How many hours out of the day do you think you're dedicating to just training?
Yeah, well, I think it varies, and I'm sure you can understand this too. There's in camp and there's out of camp. So in camp, it's for me, it's a mandatory 3 times a day. So I like to hit every aspect in one day to some extent, and not every day is like a 100% day. Like some days I'll go 100% in jiu-jitsu and maybe like a 75 when it comes to striking. But in camp, I try to do my strength training, my striking, and then my groundwork all in one day and spread out. But that kind of training, you can't keep that up year round. So so I kind of save those hard weeks like that for when I actually have a fight lined up. But I think what kind of shows is I really do enjoy living the lifestyle of being a professional fighter. So year round, I'm always training at what we would call a 7. So there's the 10, which is the camps, and then a 7 would be what I live at. So right now I'm doing two trainings a day, not including stretching and stuff like that. So
Gotcha. I get it now. How many hours? So you're training so you say you're training right now, you're doing what, two times a day?
Probably
how long do you take in between each session? Because that shit looks brutal. How do you recover?
I try to spread them out, and I know that you understand a lot of this, but if you train a certain muscle group or a certain skill in the morning, it potentially could take away from your training in the evening, because you're using that energy in the morning. So you have to I'm always thinking, okay, I'm working this hard right now, but I got to make sure that I still save myself a little bit for the later practices. But I like to keep anywhere from 3 to 5 hours in between practices out of camp. And then when I'm in camp, it's one, have a protein shake right into the other, and then maybe 2-3 hours, and then evening training. So
you're not, I think I caught something also, is what you're not training, like you're obviously not training the same, like doing the same thing the next session. You're doing something completely different.
No.
So
Yeah.
like technically, you know, it's kind of like if I were to do like a chest workout in the morning and then like, you know, back or legs, you know, in the evening kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay. So
but you wouldn't
it's something
hit chest
completely
twice.
different. Right. Okay. Got you.
You could, but I mean, it's more efficient to, you know, do that.
What are you saying, Casey?
No, I was going to ask more about the lifting portion. I would assume that obviously when you talk about being in camp, it's all about honing the specific skill that you're actually going to use in the octagon, which isn't, you know, for you at least what I've witnessed, it isn't just necessarily brute strength. It's a lot of technique. And so I feel like I was going to ask, is your training, I guess, lifting wise, more about explosiveness or just raw strength? And do you work on, like, obviously you've already answered, antagonistic muscle groups, like, you know, whatever you do the first time, you're working on the opposite of that the next time?
Yeah. So I mean, one of my best friends is he's also my strength and conditioning coach. His name is Mike Safai. His brother Arya Safai, who's very
I know him.
So basically since I was like 17, I've been strength training with Mike, and it's very much like a bodybuilder split out of camp. So I like hitting chest and back, arms, and then legs and abs, or, you know, switching it up. But out of camp, I definitely, like, me personally, I love looking aesthetically strong. Like, there's so many people that don't necessarily look that way. So that's also important to me. But then when it comes to camp, it's not so much about getting like stronger, but doing specific movements that are geared towards fighting. So they vary from you know, multiple things, but I think one of the most simple one to understand would be something like deadlifting, you know, like lifting somebody up, picking somebody up to take them down, like that kind of conditioning, doing it over and over again and being able to do it when you're tired. So whereas like when you're just, you know, trying to put on muscle or size, you're taking rests in between, like you want to make sure that you're ready for the next set. So it kind of switches over. But out of camp, like I really do enjoy just like my strength training. And it's something that's really like neglected amongst like other fighters. You know, people are just so focused on striking or jiu-jitsu, but it's important to have like body armor too. When you're getting hit, when you're getting punched, like you want to have armor. That's like lifting weights is like putting that armor on for me. So and it makes a difference. Like when I don't do it and someone kicks me in the body, I'm like, oh fuck. But if someone were to do it now, it's like, all right, like
like, another one.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. How long are your camps? Like how long would, like, let's say you have a fight, you have a date. When do you start like I call them preps because that's what we do for a show, but your camp, like your in season camp, I guess you'd say, like how long are those usually?
Yeah. So ideally 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks is ideal, but it doesn't always work that way. So dude, I just noticed that my name is my chick's name on Zoom.
Really?
Yeah.
Professional MMA fighter.
Are you using your laptop or something?
Yeah. No, I think she logged into my my Zoom.
Oh, shit.
Anyways, yeah. So ideally 6 to 8 weeks, but you know, some of the best opportunities come like short notice. So it could be anywhere from like, you know, a week to 4 days where you're just like, you have to lose the weight and you got to be ready. So that's where I like being ready year round, because especially with me, it's very difficult to actually get a fight. So I just like to be ready at a moment's notice. And like, what's the point if you're not? You know, what's the point if if you do a fight and then you're just off for months and you're out of that, like that fighter element, that martial art element. Like you're just, what are you, just like a normal dude? And then what, you have to get ready to fight again? I'd rather just be ready all the time.
Damn, dude. Yeah, because like bodybuilding is completely different. Like I have an off season. I have like competition season. So I don't necessarily have time off, but my physique looks a lot different. So I'm not always ready. So that's one thing that I've noticed for you, because you're fucking shredded, man, like year round, like you're killing it. And like, you know, I'm thinking to myself, like, holy shit, like, you know, I can't imagine like the amount of like work that you have to keep putting in every single day, like every single week, month. Yeah. But that's awesome, dude. So like if you had a fight like in 2 days, like someone's like, yo, John Paul, we got a fight lined up, you know, in 2 days. I know it's really short notice, but you know, but you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. What you're saying. I mean, the only thing that would keep me from competing is my weight. So
right. Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah,
if
yeah.
it was at 155 right now, there's no chance. Like I'm around 180 right now. But if it's 170, that's like a breeze. That's like 2 sauna sessions, and I'm at 170. So
okay. How long do you usually take to like dry out and like drop the weight?
I would say as soon as I start dieting, like I'll go from 180, 185 to like 172. Like my body just kind of like regulates at that weight. Okay. And it knows what's going on. It's like, all right, he's eating clean, like, you know, everything like that. Like I'll usually just coast at 172. And then fight week, I'll be probably like 168, and then I'll cut from 68 to 55.
Okay.
Water weight.
55.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's not as much. Yeah. That's not as much as like I've heard other fighters drop, which I think is ridiculous. Like the 20 pounds kind of shit, like overnight.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the times, yeah. I mean, if they're doing that also, it's like, that's just
like, how do you perform?
Opinion, like really
how do you fight?
Sketchy. Yeah.
Because dude, really like when I'm ready for a show, dude, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
I'll drop like 10 pounds overnight.
Yeah. I think the difference is we get to replenish after we weigh in, whereas you don't necessarily.
Not so much. Yeah. That's true.
So
holy shit, dude. Okay. Another question, because I've been thinking, because like I've kind of been getting more into the MMA thing. I think that Casey's kind of got me hooked a little bit, because we'll talk about it every now and then. I'll see it, like YouTube shit pops up sometimes, but like I always think, like when I watch these fights, is like, what is like, how do you, is it like work to you? Like, how do you just jump in to the octagon and just beat the shit out of somebody? Like how, like, you know what I mean? Like to you, you're probably like, yeah, what the fuck? But like it, like for me, because like I'm not that kind of person. Like I'm not an animal like that. Like how do you get into that mindset to beat the shit out of somebody? Is it like is it like a switch, or is it like I'm gonna take like today and tomorrow to kind of get into the zone kind of thing?
I think it's a little bit of both, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to sparring, like you know, like pretty much scrimmage fighting in the gym with pads and with everything like that. Like for me, it's really difficult because I get into that. Like I do have a switch where like at a certain point, like it snaps and then there's no turning back.
Okay.
But in sparring, you know, it can be very playful, and you know, there's no ego. There's you know, you're holding back your punches, but you're still trying to, it's like tag, you know, it's like boom, you're it.
Okay.
But a fight is very different, you know, because at least for me, what makes it so real for me is that like it is my life. Like I'm 100% all in. So like it just, win or lose, like matters to me more than anything. It's like life or death. And
right.
I would say it gets really like real when you're in the warm-up room. You know, you're warming up and you're just like, all right, after this, like I'm gonna be fucking locked in a cage with somebody else, and there's no escaping that. Like there's no one that's gonna like hold my hand to like walk to the cage. There's no one that's gonna be in there like saying, hey, you know, it's okay, like, you know. No, like you're in there, you got to make that walk by yourself. and you have to make that switch. Otherwise, like it's kill or be killed. So, but it's really surreal once the bell rings, right? And you touch gloves. It's just like, you're in like this, I don't even know. It's almost like a video game in the sense that you're just like, you're disconnected from everything else. You're just,
so you're like kind of tunneled in on that one dude.
Yeah, you're right there, and everything else is just like quiet, and you're just like ultra focused. And yeah, you trust in your training, and yeah. It's, I mean, I live for it, you know, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm just like, I'm itching to get back in there. And because, you know, sparring only does so much. Like you can spar all you want, you can hit pads all you want. It's like, you know, you go to the gym and you see these guys that are like, you know, fucking, they look good in the weight room, like they look like they know what they're doing, but when it actually boils down to like, you know, putting in the work or performing, it's not there. Like there's a difference between people that just kind of it's like a hobby or whatever, and the people who like actually like live for it. So you know, you can look as good as you want on the pads, you can, you know, all the Instagram videos, like all that shit, but like when it's time to like really, you know, put all that to the test, it shows. So yeah, and I'm sure you understand that as well.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Something that you
totally
touched on that I want to like go back to in a little bit, but something that you just said was about like itching to get back into the octagon, and I know we talked about it on the side a bit, about like when you might potentially have another fight, and I just wanted to know if anything has kind of changed in that, because man, we'll promote it, we'll get it out there. I mean, small audience,
we got millions of viewers, bro.
Nah, soon to be. Yeah, nah, I mean, right now I've been in such a weird position with Corona and with everything. It's just kind of, it's, if I get my hopes up, I get let down every time. So I've sort of come into this mindset of just like, you know what, if anything comes up, I'm ready. As far as I'm concerned, like I'm in a camp state of mind. Yeah, I mean, I have like a really good feeling about 2021. I think, you know, towards, you know, this summer, stuff is going to start happening, but I've honestly gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm not even going to like jinx myself into this. I'm just going to like everything that all the little news that I'm getting from my management or from other sources, I'm just kind of like, I haven't even told my closest people. I'm just kind of internalizing it. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to keep this to myself until it's like set in stone. And then, you know, once I sign the dotted line, then, you know, I'm telling my closest people, but yeah, it's just, I've had this weird love-hate relationship with being back and forth, opponents pulling out. So I'm just kind of focusing on myself when it comes to that right now.
The other thing I wanted to take it back to was that humility factor that you talked about, which I mean in high school, which was, you know, years ago, you took me to a couple of sessions at Gracie, and I mean, that's one factor that I respect so much about MMA and MMA fighters above all else, honestly, above most athletes, is that ego gets checked at the door when you walk in. And me, you know, I knew that I wasn't an MMA fighter, but I was thinking in my head, I've got some conditioning behind me, I'll be all right. And instantaneously, I was gasping for air. And I don't remember how exactly we did it, but I think it was like a 30-second clock that went off, and we just grapple straight for 30 seconds, and we work on transitions, whatever. And I remember, I think we did like 2 or 3 sessions before my head was almost in a trash bin about to yak. And I knew immediately that, like, you know, this was something that I held in high regard. And for people to do it day in and day out is insane. And I guess it's a long way around the barn to get to my question, but I remember going into Costa and meeting you and becoming friends throughout high school. I remember all these videos about this John Paul kid who was tearing it up in the jiu-jitsu world. And, you know, it seemed like you were in it at such a high level for such a long time. It's kind of amazing to me to maintain that humility, you know, because I've
Yeah.
I've personally, I mean, Austin can vouch for this. You know, I've personally had big head moments, you know.
Same here.
I think
Yeah,
everybody has
everybody.
at some point. But, you know, I think when you're doing something at such a high level for such an extended period of time, it's amazing to kind of keep a level head on your shoulders. And it's
Yeah.
something that I've admired in you for a long time. And I think that we've always had that respect going back and forth. And I know people like to challenge a lot, but at the end of the day, you know what you're doing, you know where you come from, and I just want to know like how you kept that head on your
Yeah.
shoulders.
It's I would say the one thing that really has always stuck with me is my dad. Growing up, my dad was my like professor. You know, he taught me everything I knew up until I was 18. And one of the things he said that stuck with me is, when you think you're shit. And I gotta say, every time I was like, you know what, I'm this, I'm that, like I'm tapping everybody out, like I'm the shit, like no one's on my level, this and that. Sure enough, like I get put right on my ass and reminded that there's always somebody better than you. Like even when you're the best in the world, and you know you've worked so hard and you've obtained that thing that you've worked so hard for, even then when you're at the top of the mountain, like there's someone at the bottom working to get you. So that's always been my motivation, and I think that takes time to understand, because I mean, when I was in high school, I was a fucking dickhead too. But you know, you learn that with experience. Like there's always somebody better than you, and that's what keeps me humble. And also just working with the caliber of people that I work with, it's hard to feel like I'm the shit, you know. I have my moments, but at the same time, it's like there's a long way to go before I can. I mean, even at the end of that road, it's still like there's always someone better than you.
Yeah. The other thing is, I mean, you've done it for so long and have still and such a hyper focused mentality on a sport, is, I mean, impressive. I know personally, I was like Mr. ADHD as a kid. I mean, like I couldn't do one thing. Every season was a sport or two if I could get it in. And then I didn't really get hyper focused until I guess middle school with like lacrosse. But you've done this sport for your entire life pretty much. I remember we talked about it when we were younger about, you know, when you were walking, you were training.
Yeah.
So it's like, how
Yeah,
is there any
I
down
think it's
periods?
there has been, for sure, but it started off with my dad really like making it no choice. Like, this is what you're doing, and like you don't have an option. Like I hated it. Like I was forced to do it, and then I was forced to compete for my father's like love and affection. So you know, up until I was about 18, like if I didn't win a competition, I got the silent treatment, and I was ignored for like weeks on end. And that was like my dad and my coach. So I was extremely motivated to win, because then he would like be happy with me. So it was a tough relationship with fighting and with martial arts, because I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for the affection of my dad. And not until I was like, I would say 17, 18, did I really start falling in love with the sport myself. And then I was, you know, I went my own path. I went my own way, parted ways with my dad, and really just started doing everything for me. And um, now it's like, I would say it's two things. One, I absolutely love what I do. I wake up every day and I love to do it. I'm obsessed with it. And two, it's like I'm in too deep. Like I've been in it too long to just give up. You know, like my ears are, you know, that's for life. Like that's for life. Like what am I gonna? I'm gonna be the guy walking around where everyone's like, "Oh, are you a fighter?" And I'm like, "Nah." Like, you know, I stopped that a while ago. Or like I used to be like, "Nah, fuck that." Like this is my life, and I'm in too deep to call it quits. But that's just kind of like something that's always in the back of my head. That's not necessarily like the reason why I still do it. It's just I do love it. Like it's my life, and I don't see myself doing anything else. So yeah.
I remember that the first time I met your dad, dude. And you immediately we walked in the house and you said, "Look him in the eyes, say hello, and shake his hand."
Yeah, he's gnarly.
I was like, "All right, yeah, I got it."
Yeah.
Damn, it's hardcore, dude. That kind of reminds me, like, I kind of sprung a thought, like, when you said people ask you, like, what does it feel like? Like I've always wondered what it feels like to be that guy in a room, like knowing that out of everyone in the room, you're the one, like you could kill anyone in that room. Like how does it feel being the guy knowing that you could kill anybody in a room wherever you are?
It's crazy. Like I don't think I've ever really like thought like that. I've never been like in a situation, you know?
Yeah.
But I also think the difference between someone who's been doing it since like birth is like you don't get those benefits from it of like the life-changing things. You know, when you've been doing something since birth, that's just all you know. But for instance, there's guys that are like, you know, coming to the sport at like 21, 22, never, you know, played football their whole lives, and then they go into fighting and or they do nothing, you know, they do nothing with their lives, and they start, you know, they walk into an MMA gym and their lives change. They get confidence, they get you know, they become in better shape, they get that confidence, and it's life changing for them. You know, they feel empowered. Whereas for me, it's like the contrary. It's like I don't even experience those things because it's been a part of my life so long that you know, other things give me that sort of stimulus. Like, you know, doing something like photography like gives me like creativity or something like that. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't really like think like that. You know, I may have when I was younger, but yeah, no.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. So you never played any other sports. This was it.
I mean, nothing seriously. Like I played like flag football 1 year and basketball, but I was trash. Like trash.
Water polo. Did you play water polo?
Yeah, I did. But I didn't even play water polo. The coach would just like put me into like kick someone's ass and then I'd get ejected. I swear. So yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah, I'm not. That's another thing. Is like I'm not really good at too many other things, so I'm like I might as well just put all my eggs in this basket. So.
Oh Jesus Christ.
But yeah, dude. So I recently started following you, Austin, and yeah, I see that you put in the work, and it's inspiring because, you know, part of me is like I do really like I look up to bodybuilders because, you know, I have some of my closest people are professional bodybuilders, and, you know, I see the way they look, and I also care about aesthetics and stuff like that. And you know, when I lift weights, I just think like, fuck, if I was only doing this, I just try to like imagine what the potential could be. But yeah. So
yeah, bro.
So I want to know a little more about kind of like what your days look like and your splits and stuff like that.
I mean, lifestyle wise, I would say it's similar to you, because in the aspect of it being a 24-hour thing. But I mean, my day starts around 4 a.m. to do my cardio, and from there I'm eating 6, maybe 7 times a day. I'm eating my body weight in protein at least. But I'm really my actual weightlifting training session is like an hour long of just hard, intense, like heavy weight training. But the rest of it's spent in the kitchen and in bed, dude. Like really, it's and that's honestly, I think the hardest part, because I feel like everyone likes to train. It's fun, you know. But I think what separates some people from the rest is being able to do everything else, like the nutrition, you know, all the extra recovery. You know, I'm doing deep tissue massage, you know, some icing, you know, sleeping enough, just all that kind of extra shit that you need to do so you can keep going to the gym and training and, you know, keep getting the, you know, results. And so that's basically my day. Like, I think, because I'm really glad that I was able to have you on here, because I can relate to you, because I didn't really know your full day, but I know I can relate to you, because, you know, you're probably not, I mean, COVID, but you're probably not going out as much. You're probably not going out that much. You probably don't see your friends a lot. You don't really have a lot of time to really just dedicate to social hour, you know? For me, I probably could, but I don't, because I know that I need to get to bed at a certain hour so I can wake up and, you know, do the same shit all over again. And so I think that's one thing that I've noticed with you is that I can relate to is that
it's a full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you're the same way. You have the same opinion as me. But when people tell me, because they're like, "Oh, dude, you look great. You know, you must be so dedicated and shit." And I'm like, "You must sacrifice so much." And like, it's almost like I don't really see it as sacrifice as much as everyone's like would see that and label it as sacrifice. I look at it as stuff that that I enjoy, that I like to do, and stuff that I have to do to get to where I want to go.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, because like even the cardio sessions, man, like everyone hates cardio and fasted cardio in the morning. Everyone hates that shit. I love it. I love waking up at 4 a.m., going to the gym when no one's there, and just going hard for 40 minutes to an hour on whatever cardio machine, running, Stairmaster, whatever it is I choose to do that morning. But I enjoy it. It's just one of those things. But so I mean, I'm sure you're the same way though, right? Like when people are probably all the time coming to you like, dude, like you must sacrifice so much, man. Like you have no life, bro. Like because you're dedicating all this shit to just fighting. Like, you know, like what is your thought when like what is your response usually when people come to you like that?
Yeah, I think it's different when you're in it. You know, when you're in that, you're living that life, you don't see it that way. I think it's all about perspective, but from an outside perspective, that's how people perceive it. And you know, when people do say that stuff, like, you know, whether it's on social media or in person, it's just kind of like it's part of like my motivation for what I do. And you know, when you get the few people that are like truly inspired to the point where they start doing it, or they get motivated by seeing what you're doing, I think that's just kind of like, that's like the cherry on top to all the work being put in. But yeah, when you're in it, it's like you don't see that. You just see the goal. You don't see the sacrifice. It's all just part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I also like noticed like when people come to me, it's like they don't understand necessarily that like when I'm prepping for a show, I'm like, you know, 4 weeks out, I'm diced, I'm dick skin shredded, and they're like, you know, so you can't have like 1 extra gram of rice, you know, so you're probably the same, because you have to cut weight and shit, you have to do all the same shit. So, you know, it's like
It's like,
no, I can't, dude.
Can't.
Like I measure all my, I'm assuming you probably measure a lot of your food and shit. Like it's that little fucking gram of rice that will make a difference, dude. Like for real. And so that's one thing that I've kind of noticed with a lot of people and like within myself. And then, looking at you sort of, doing, I mean, something completely different, but yet something that's pretty similar to what I do almost in a way, like, in certain aspects, but
definitely.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here just because we're running out of time. But yeah, you talk super fucking slow, man. Jesus Christ.
I do, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause it here, guys. But we could run an episode 2 if you want. You guys let us know what the deal is. But thank you for logging in, and hopefully we'll have this guy on here again soon.
Oh yeah.
Peace out, guys.